Do you know who saved Van Gogh from oblivion? It wasn't a critic. It wasn't a museum. It wasn't a wealthy collector. It was a 28-year-old widow, in a foreign country, with a baby in her arms, and more than 1,000 works that everyone advised her to destroy. Imagine being widowed suddenly. At 28. A newborn baby. In a country whose language you barely speak. And in the living room of your home, more than 400 paintings and 700 drawings by a man the entire world considered a madman. That was Johanna van Gogh-Bonger's dilemma in 1891. The woman who doesn't appear in art history books. The one who never sought the spotlight. And the sole reason Vincent van Gogh is today the world's most recognized painter. Today, on Chronicles of the Brush, I tell you her story. In 5 acts. Because her life was exactly that, a masterpiece no one could see, until she decided to show it. It all begins with a date that changes everything. The 27th of July, 1890. Vincent van Gogh shoots himself in a wheat field in Auvers-sur-Oise. He dies 2 days later. Johanna has been married barely a year to Theo van Gogh, Vincent's brother, his art dealer, his confidant, the man who for years funded every tube of paint the artist ever bought. The blow for Theo is devastating. Unbearable. 6 months after Vincent's suicide, Theo also dies. And Johanna is left alone. A widow. With a baby they have just named Vincent Willem in honor of his uncle. Without enough money. In France. Surrounded by a legacy no one wanted. The art dealers told her plainly, keep 2 or 3. The rest, get rid of them. The critics who bothered to comment said they were the ravings of a madman. And Johanna, who was a sensible, educated woman, a translator of English, with her mind perfectly clear, decided not to listen to anyone. Johanna does something no one expected. She picks up her luggage. She picks up the baby. And she picks up the paintings. All of them. More than 1,000 works packed into crates, rolled with care, wrapped with tenderness. And she returns to Holland. In Bussum, a quiet village near Amsterdam, she opens a boarding house to make a living. And on the walls of that house, she hangs the Van Goghs. Not as decoration. As a permanent exhibition. As a statement of intent. Guests would arrive for dinner and find themselves face to face with the starry night. With the potato eaters. With those sunflowers nobody wanted to buy. In 1892 she organizes her first official exhibition. The Rijksmuseum, Holland's principal museum, offers to keep 2 works. As a donation, not a purchase. Do you know what Johanna replied? No. That the works were not for sale at that price. That their value was not what the market said at that moment. That she could wait. And she waited. With a patience that many investors today would envy. For years, Johanna does something more than manage paintings. She reads letters. 600. More than 600 letters between Vincent and Theo. Written over decades. Intimate, raw, desperate, brilliant. And in those letters, Johanna discovers something that breaks her heart. The great love of her husband's life was not her. It was Vincent. Not in a romantic sense, don't misunderstand. But in the deepest and most absolute meaning of the word love. Theo lived for his brother. He funded him, comforted him, defended him, understood him when no one else did. Vincent was his reason for being. Johanna had been married a year when Theo died. She didn't have time to know that depth. And now, reading each letter, she understands that she had been witness to something far greater than her own love story. What does she do with that? She could grow bitter. She could hide it away. She could burn it. Instead, she decides the entire world must read those letters. Because that is where the real Vincent lives. Not the madman they mock. Not the sick man. But the genius who thought, who doubted, who loved, who suffered with an extraordinary lucidity. And if the world reads the letters, it will understand the paintings. 1905, Amsterdam. Stedelijk Museum. Johanna organizes the largest retrospective of Vincent van Gogh ever mounted. 480 works. For months of exhibition. 2,000 visitors in the first weeks. There are critics who keep laughing. Collectors who still don't believe. But it no longer matters. The tide has turned. Young painters from across Europe have for years been making pilgrimages to see the Van Goghs. The Impressionists, the Fauves, the Expressionists, all have looked at Vincent and found permission to do what they wanted to do. What Johanna built was not just a market. It was a canon. She sold what was necessary to survive. She donated the key works to museums at precisely the right moment. She held on to the great pieces until the price they deserved finally came. A marketing strategy studied today in the world's finest business schools, designed alone, in a boarding house, with no business training, with a baby sleeping in the next room. 1914, Orves-sur-Oise. The very village where Vincent died. Johanna makes a decision no one asked of her. That no one expected. That says everything about who she is. She moves Theo's body from Utrecht to France. And buries him beside Vincent. Together. Together at last. That same year she publishes the 600 letters. 3 volumes. In Dutch first. And then she begins to translate them into English, because she wants the whole world to read them. Johanna van Gogh-Bonger dies in 1925. With the letters still half-translated on her desk. She never stopped. I often wonder what would have become of Vincent without her. If those 1,000 works had ended up scattered, destroyed, lost to time, like those of so many other artists who never had anyone to believe in them. And I think that art needs 2 kinds of people to survive. The one who creates it. And the one who protects it. Vincent was the genius. Johanna was the guardian. And without guardians, there is no legacy. As a painter, I understand something of what Johanna lived through. Not on her scale, of course. But I know what it is to believe in a work when no one else can see it yet. That is why this story touches me so deeply. If this story has moved you, subscribe. Here on Chronicles of the Brush we keep bringing to light the people who changed art and whom official history preferred to forget. And if you know someone who loves Van Gogh, and let's be honest, who doesn't? Share this video with that person. See you in the next chapter.